Hello, everybody. Sean Higgs coming at you here. A little NFL free pick action. Doug Upstone, Matt Fargo joining me for a little NFL preview. As always, hit the like button here on the YouTube channel. Be part of the family on YouTube. Maybe you want to be on the Twitter X world with us as well. But again, like button, notification bell. Get in there. You want to know when we post our free pick videos Monday through Saturday. Free pick stuff. We also have live on Monday nights, the Monday Night Live show, some player props. Friday live, Victor King and Marc Lawrence and myself, we do live on Fridays. Don't miss out. Notification bells, like buttons, be part of the family. And, of course, visit our sponsor, gamblersWORLD.net, for all of our premium content. Now, these are the free picks. Great. 2-1 last week on this video. Not too bad. That'll put money in your pocket going 2-1. But if you want the good stuff, you head on over to Gamblers World. It's our pay play. Obviously, it's they're I don't know what to say. You go out to eat, you sit at a bar and they're giving out like peanuts and pretzels in the thing. It's free. You don't know. Somebody's fake nail could fall off. You're going to choke to death on it. You don't want that. You want the good meal in the back that they're actually taking time to prep and it's nice and clean. Not that our picks aren't clean. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I better just stop myself right now.
Yeah.
Abort. Stop. Where's the stop button? Oh. Matt, we'll start with Matt. How are things going, Matt? What do you got lined up for the weekend here with college and NFL?
Hey, doing good, Higgsy. Looking forward to a good weekend. 5-2 last week in the NFL, 42-30 on the season. Having a great season. I have a game going early, but we're talking about Sunday. I'm going to have, not sure yet, probably 4, maybe 5 premiums for NFL on Sunday. Looks like a good card. Right now, college football, looking at another big card. I think I had 9 last week, looking at about 8 or 9 again this week. Should be good. And as always, this time of year, college basketball holiday tournaments tipping off. So we'll be seeing a lot of college hoops action coming up as well. Having a great college basketball season so far. And get those long-term subscriptions. We'll be having a lot of plays going on in the next few months. No doubt about it. All the way through the end of football, and then basketball kicks in full gear after that.
GamblersWorld.net for all of Matt's top plays. You see it's 76% run, not too shabby. And again, it's NFL weekend. He mentioned college basketball. They started on a Thursday of last week. And just because it's Thanksgiving, there'll be games coming up this week with these tournaments. They're all over the place. They're from the Bahamas to Hawaii. They're everywhere. South Carolina, Florida. Anyway, Doug, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Sean, and especially well because I went 5-0 yesterday. So happy about that. Okay, just 4 different sports, all winners across the board. So a very nice day, and just continuing the trend. The last 17 days, 39-22. That's 64%. So happy about that. And the breakdowns basically fall in the categories of 22-9 in the NHL, 11-5 in college basketball to start the season, and on a 7-3 run in the NBA. So across the board very well. And since this is an NFL video, well, last week, 4-1 in the NFL. Not on the season, not as good as what Mr. Fargo is doing, but hey, you know what? My goal is to try and catch him now. Okay, so that's what I got to make happen. So that's what I'm looking to do. So yeah, hey, ready to go for a big weekend. 6 plays in college football for sure. All going to be up as soon as I'm done with this video. And then finish off the NFL, which is looking like anywhere from 3 to 4.
There you go. GamblersWorld.net for all of Doug's top plays. Go get it. 3, 7, 38 packages are guaranteed. We show you a profit over that time, or we credit you back. And also, new addition to the packages, there is a daily package. A daily package, which for someone like me, a daily package would be good because we're talking NFL. I just happen to have, 12 games up for NFL Sunday. That's just me. Right? Some people think it's a lot. I like the action. I see the number. I'm going to try to go out there and attack it. So I'm locked in for NFL. I'm ready for NFL Sunday. Hopefully a good day there. But let's get to the free picks here today, Doug. And you're looking at a pretty decent game here. We got San Fran and Green Bay going at it. San Fran off the loss. San Fran's a team I don't know how to put my finger on this year. They're 5-5 on the year, but favored in all 10 games. A 2-point underdog now, total of 47.5 versus the Packers. What are you doing here? This is a little tough spot for the Niners. They got Buffalo on deck too.
Yeah, this is these two teams. If you go back to the beginning of the Brett Favre era, these two teams have kind of paralleled each other often. In terms of what's gone on. Frequent Super Bowl contenders. Some participated in some and won a few trophies. Okay, and they've also gone through some rough patches. I think these two teams right now, I think they're both good teams, but elite, I don't see it right now. The last 15 meetings between the Packers and the 49ers, the over is 10-5. This season, and right now, these are two top 9 scoring offenses, but yet they're underperforming. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at their total yards, the Niners are number 2, the Packers are number 4. So how those numbers don't align with what they're scoring. So you go to yards per point, Packers are 21, San Francisco is 24. Both defenses give up around 21 to 22 points. The total on this one's 47.5. Both teams have been recently trending under. 49ers 3-1 under, Packers 1-1 under. So for me, here's the cherry on top of the cake. And for all those that like dessert or birthday cakes or whatever, a team like Green Bay that is off 2 consecutive games where they did not force a turnover against an opponent who's off 2 consecutive games where they've only had 1 or less turnovers. The under is a solid 54-22 with an average total score of 42.4 points. Let's go under 47.5, Packers and Frisco.
Under 47.5 for Doug here. Official show pick. Matt, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I look to play. I'm not a big totals guy, but looking at the numbers right now, as Doug said, they're trending low-scoring games over the last 4 per team. They're both 3-1 in their last 4 games. So yeah, I was just looking at some raw metric numbers, and yeah, San Fran, we know they have a good defense. They're 12th in net EPA on defense. And Green Bay, surprisingly, has been playing really good defensively this year. They're number 10 in defensive net EPA. So the San Fran offense just hasn't been clicking. They've had a lot of injuries this season, and I think just the continuity of this team just hasn't been coming through. They put 30 up against Dallas, big deal, right? But the other 3 games around that, 18 against KC, 23 against Tampa, and then last week only 17 against Seattle. So San Fran, I don't know what to make of this team. I wouldn't say their season's on the line this week, but at 5-5, man, if they drop to 5-6, I know the division's still pretty wide open. I think they have to come out strong defensively because Green Bay has the weapons to exploit that defense if they don't come to play. So yeah, I like the under of this game.
You get the Niners off of a last-second loss, not pretty. You have Green Bay off of a last-second win because they probably could have lost because Chicago's themselves. The week before that, Green Bay's in the ugly dog fight versus the Lions. So you look at their last 2 games versus a bad Bears team and a good Lions team, thinking, all right, they could be ripe for a picking off here. The Niners in a bounce back kind of stuff. But I don't know. As you mentioned, the continuity or whatever it is, I don't know what it is about San Fran. They are just not a team to pencil in like, all right, we're going to be 14-4 and get back to the NFC Championship game. Like they just, I don't know what it is. Is it a big game for them? Absolutely. The division is crazy. As I mentioned, they got the Bills next week. I mean, I already bet the Bills for next week -3.5. They're coming off a bye week. They're going to have a Niner team either on a high or even a deflating loss. Where are they going? But yeah, man, I get the under here because both these teams kind of struggling lately. The Niners with their injuries, 47.5. You mentioned all the stats on that. I'm with you, Doug, with the under 47.5 here. Official Doug Upstone pick under 47.5. Niners and the Packers. We're going to stay in the West, but this time we're going to go to the AFC. Actually, yeah, San Fran is in the West, so yes, that makes sense. Sort of. Denver and Vegas. Who saw Denver coming out and winning some games here with Bo Nix? I really didn't. I kind of liked them as dogs early in the season. But they're 6-5, 8-3 against the number, getting it done. Vegas, well, here you are. I didn't think you'd be good. You are 2-8. You fired your offensive coordinator. The team is 7-3 to the over, though, even though the offense is bad. So that tells you a bad offense a bad defense, you're going to have low totals and the team's going to come in and score against you. But they do seem to score some garbage points here. Total is 41. They're catching 6.5 here. Shop around for a number. I'm showing 6 right now. Denver -6, Vegas 41. Matt, I mean, I kind of think I know what you're probably doing this one because that's the way the show goes sometimes. But go ahead.
If you know who I am, you know who I'm probably going to go with here. Yeah, Denver coming with a big win against Atlanta last week. Get back on track after a pair of losses. Vegas with 6 straight losses now, coming off that defeat against Miami. It was actually a close game for a while until Miami scored that 57-yard passing touchdown with 3-something left. They kind of pull away. So looking at the numbers, the line has gone from 3 to 6, I think, for obvious reasons. Vegas offense, they are net 32 in EPA. Defensively, they're net 23 in EPA. Denver's 21st in net offense EPA, which kind of average, and their defense is number 3 in EPA net-wise. So, Denver's got the big advantages for the metrics for sure. But as I said, people that know me, I'm going to be on the Raiders in this game. As I said, the Raiders showed some life last week coming out of their bye, and being a divisional game. And, I'm contrary. 96% of the money, 92% of the tickets are on Denver right now, which has caused the big line move. So that's part of the reason. And this game sets up a lot like the game I had last week, Green Bay, Chicago. The line opened short, went up a field goal early in the week with a lot of money coming in on Green Bay, and just being a divisional game. The home dogs come to play. These teams know each other, and you'll say, well, Denver won the first meeting, blah, blah, blah. Well, they were outgained by the Raiders, so it was just a fluke. One of those fluke games where the Raiders, like mistakes, penalties, things like that came into play. So I like the Raiders in the spot, +6 at home. Don't need to win. Stay within a field goal, and I think we can cash over just like we did with the Bears last week.
+6 Vegas Raiders, Matt Fargo show pick. Again, 2-1 last week in the show. Hopefully we go 3-0 a little better, but Vegas +6 for Matt. Doug, what do you think? You going to be a dog guy here as well, or something different?
I'll give you the story here on these two teams, all right? So 2 years ago, Denver, complete mess, brought in a Super Bowl coach, 2 years ago, Raiders, 500-ish team, kind of rudderless though, not really going anywhere. So now, you look at them, and if you look at the Raiders and you break down their 22 starters, and just look at the other teams in their division, you can make a really easy case that if they would be 4th or last in 11 of the 22 positions that start. So this team just doesn't have a lot of talent, to me. I'm just not seeing it across the board here. Now, Denver, Bo Nix done a great job on this one here. As Matt said, Denver just keeps going up and up. And it's interesting, Denver has not been this big of a road favorite since game 1 of 2022. So that's an interesting take on that. But this one, to me, it's just one of those games that doesn't make any sense. Denver definitely should be favored in this one. Head coaching difference, probably worth 3 points. Maybe you guys agree, disagree. A better quarterback, I guess I'd go with Bo Nix just overall. But as Matt said, it is a division game. Yes, Denver won earlier, and that was their first win in 9 games. So they're 1-8 and 2-7 against the spread, most recently against the Raiders. And the Raiders are also 8-3 and 1, at home in their last 12. It wouldn't surprise me at all, actually, if the Raiders had a lead going in the 4th quarter, but I have complete confidence that they would give it up. And that, so from that standpoint, I see them losing by 3 or 4 and the Raiders cover.
You mentioned the Denver road fave spot. I was on Seattle. That was Russell versus Geno Smith. And I remember back in June, I'm like, folks, take this Geno Smith Seattle team right now because that line's going to come down. If they don't win a game the rest of the year, that is the game they want because that guy kind of forced his way out of it. That was the game. And I don't know if they won or it was like a 1-point game. It was something ugly, I remember. But, yeah. Anyway, Geno Smith getting it done against his not his mentor, but the guy he took over for. So the Raiders, right? You look at the 6, it was 3.5, 4, pumps up a little bit. Matt mentioned the same thing with the Green Bay game. It comes down to, those extra points. The line opens. The opening line is there for a reason, folks. It's kind of what the numbers are based on where the teams are at that point. Not how a team plays the game before, that day, short of quarterbacks going on. The Raiders, listen, you mentioned Doug, Sean Payne taking over and Super Bowl coach. Chances are the Raiders might have a new coach next year. Let's be honest. They won a couple and they're like, oh, this is good. We like the coach. And then you're like, wait a second, this is not. I mean, is he the problem? I don't think so. I mean, you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win many games, but the coach is going to go down the wayside with that because the new guy who comes in is going to want his own guy running the show. So that'll be a whole new cabal there. But yeah, I'm with you here. I get it. 6 points, home dog.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
right. I get it.
I mean, each game is different. Like compared to last week, the Green Bay Chicago game. You have to look at each game on its own separate, pedestal, whatever. But at the same time, they set up almost identical. It's an overreaction game where last week we saw the line go up with a lot of had two injuries, but Chicago coming off that loss to the Patriots. That was a big reason the line went up. This week, Denver looked unstoppable against the Falcons last week, where the Raiders lost again 6 in a row. So the line goes up, and I just think it's too big of an overreaction. I really, really do. Is Denver really that good of a team where they should be favored by 6 points on the road in a divisional game?
Yeah,
I don't think so. I really don't.
You hit it on the head. This line is 3. You're thinking, all right, maybe maybe I look at an over there because Denver could score, Raiders kind of score. 3 is a whole different number, right? 3, you're not looking at Raiders and 3. I'm not gung ho on Raiders and 3. Raiders are 4. I'm not all that gung ho. 6. Now I'm inside a field goal, and as Matt said, they go up and down the field versus the Falcons. The Raiders radar it up, and now we get a 2.5 3-point move. There you go. Raiders plus 6. Matt Fargo. Go ahead.
To add one thing, if you look at the last 2 home games for the Raiders, Kansas City, they're getting 8.5. So now they're only getting 2.5 points less. Game before that, Pittsburgh, they were getting only 3.5. Now they're getting 2.5 more from Denver.
Yeah.
Granted, I understand things have changed. They've lost a lot in a row. I understand all that. But, when trying to compare, competition, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me for Denver to be this much of a home or a road favorite in this spot.
Agreed. We all agree there. Vegas plus 6, Matt Fargo. Doug Upstone, under 47.5, Niners and the Packers. I'll be taking a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants. The New Jersey Giant. I can't say New York. They're in Jersey. The Meadowlands. Here we go. Quarterback games. We got Tampa. First, we got both teams coming on their bye week. So you can't even take that angle like, oh, man, someone's going to be pumped up. The other team, nope, we got them both. So it's not even like one side or the other here. Tampa 6, total of 41.5. And again, who's playing? Is Mike Evans back? They got guys out still, like who Goodwin's out, Wirfs was hurt. Listen, teams get hurt. That's all fine and dandy. Everybody's got to be next man up. That's why we have depth charts. But the New York Giants switched around their depth chart. They've decided that Daniel Jones, their $160 million man, is not the man. They decide that their $5 million backup quarterback's not the man. Their $1.3 million Tim Boyle third stringer is not the man. But here comes Mr. Cutlets in here again. Hey, he won 3 games. He won 3 out of 5. A little news flash for you over here, folks. In those 3 wins, he got 3, 3, and 6 turnovers from the defense. Now, if you're telling me Tampa Bay's going to turn the ball over 3, 4, 5, 6 times, sure, Giants will probably cover the 6 and maybe even win. All that being said, I don't want anything to do with Tampa Bay here because 6 is Giants do play defense. I'm going to look at the team total here. 23.5. 20 versus Detroit, a game they probably could have scored more opening day. Some 7 points versus Denver, which Denver has a good defense, but that's kind of like an anomaly for a team that could score 7 points at home. When you see their other games here from Tampa Bay, not to be confused with the offensive juggernaut that they actually are. 33-30, 51, 31, 26, 24, 20 last week, and it was a blocked field goal that cost them from hitting another 23 here or more because they're missing field goals. This team scores points, and even though they've been missing guys, they still put up points. So 23.5 to me. I'm going to go team total over in this one. I do kind of lean on the over 41 here, 41.5, because it just seems low. I know the Giants have gone under 7-10. This is when it's this kind of number, and I got a fourth-string quarterback who could come in and just spit the bit and do something dumb. I don't care about last year's anomaly. Again, you got 12 turnovers and 3 wins. That is not the norm. Look at the 2 losses are the norm. Give me the team total 23.5 here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Doug, what do you think?
Well, the first thing I think of is that, when you put out the schedule on Sunday night, is that I looked at it and I thought Tampa Bay and the Giants. I thought, geez, and I thought, hold it though, but Sean's the one that does the schedule. That's why I was actually starting to feel sorry for you for a second, and I thought, so I'm going to go with like a little bit of like ESPN. Come on, man. Okay, let's. I'm volunteering next week. Okay, to take the worst game. You give me your best shot. I'm volunteering right now to take that. Okay.
All right, I'm writing it down.
I want to get that out there. And also, the owner of gamblersWORLD and here is Jim. One thing I'd like you to do is that one of the things going forward is to ban any Giants games, because we should never talk about Tommy DeVito ever. Okay, it should not be on the show. So I'm gonna go with that. Now I am gonna talk about Tommy DeVito because this is my part to talk about what I think is gonna happen in this game, and I'm gonna go under for passing yards for Tommy DeVito. And
there we go.
Now DraftKings doesn't even have a total yet on it, but I'm gonna go with a little conjecture here because you got Tommy Boy here. Last year he averaged 6.2 yards per pass. Okay, Danny Dimes, who is a horrible quarterback, who's going to get a new job, okay, probably a different team or whatever. So far this year, he's averaging 6.1 yards, okay, per pass. So we're talking of a tenth of a yard difference in this one. Giants average 189 passing yards. So I'm going to guess that that's probably going to be within 10 yards either side for Tony DeVito, okay, in this one. So I'm going to say under for DeVito this week against Tampa Bay for passing yards.
Under a player prop passing for Mr. Cutlets. Matt Fargo, thoughts?
Yeah, this is a game I would not touch with your money, Higgsy, honestly. Like you said, DeVito won, 3 games last year? He was horrible. He was absolutely horrible. And I don't see them moving the ball in this game at all. Tampa's got a relatively good defense. Team total that you brought up, I was just looking at the numbers. The Giants played some really good defense early in the season, 15, 20, 20, 17 points. But of late, they're leaking some oil, 28, 26, 27, 20. And Carolina, Philly, Washington, Pittsburgh, some decent offenses in there with the opposite exception of Carolina. But, yeah, there's no way I could touch the Giants in this game. I like your team total. And if you look the other way, the under 19.5 for the Giants team total. I don't see them scoring much here at all. I really don't. Not with this quarterback. I mean, they were horrible during their 5-game losing streak with Daniel Jones. They put up more than 18 points only once. And he's not a good quarterback, but at least he knows the system. He knows the players. He has had plenty of reps. So they couldn't get it done there. I don't see DeVito getting it done here. And this is one of those games where, if the casual bettor has to bet on it, you don't always have to bet the spread. You don't always have to bet the total. Look at some of the peripheral action going on, team totals, props. There's so much action these days that you can look at in these games where you don't have to be, totally inclined to look at a side or a total like the days we had to do that 15, 20 years ago. So, yeah, I like your team total this one. Let's go.
Giants 2-8, look like they're playing for a top draft pick. We don't like to say teams tank, but let's be honest, they might be looking for a new quarterback in the draft. Not I don't know what you're doing with 160 million guaranteed to Daniel Jones, but they definitely want. You're taking him out. That's all you need to see about the guy, right? I mean, he's done.
Yeah, he's not even on the team, basically. I mean, he's getting paid, but he's not even going to be on the roster as the third quarterback.
I know, yeah.
So
it's Tim
it's old.
Boyle and Drew Lock.
Yeah.
And you cut him. It's kind of like the Cowboys. Like, the Cowboys should tank and go after a quarterback. You cut a guy, you're still on hook for $50 million in dead cap money for these huge contracts. Same with Jacksonville. Like, if they want to go Mac Jones, I would give Mac Jones. What's doing Trevor Lawrence? Who's taking that? You trade him, you're still eating dead cap money, $50 million a pop. Crazy.
Yeah, as a Giants fan,
I don't know how it works. That's crazy. How if you trade him, you still got to eat the cap money. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know how that works either. But as a Giants fan, when they drafted him, I used to follow back when he was on ESPN, Todd McShay. I used to follow the draft quite a bit. I don't follow really as much anymore. I just honestly don't have time. But he had a write-up, or he had on a podcast. He was talking about Daniel Jones, and like he said the exact thing that has actually happened to Daniel Jones. He's nothing but a backup quarterback. So when I listen to that, and then they drafted him, I'm like, oh no, here we go. Because McShay's pretty sharp, and then when they signed this crazy deal last year, I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like what? Like I've gone through so much heartbreak with this team, and now it's worse. And I knew this was coming. When they got rid of Barkley, I'm like, now he has nobody around him. Yeah, they got Neighbors in the draft. Maybe he could do something, which he showed flashes, no doubt about it. But when you have a quarterback who can't get him the ball, he's not going to do much. And it's tough times in New York, or should I say Jersey right now. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do.
Now, back in like '92, when Mike and the Mad Dog were like peak Mike and the Mad Dog, it would have been great radio on the Fan back in the day. Listen to this.
Yeah. I remember. So the thing about Jones, I remember him as a senior at Duke. Okay, and he had an outstanding year, but he had an outstanding year primarily because he was a great runner. I mean, and he had runs of, I want to say during the course of the year, he had at least 10 runs, if not more, of 40 yards or more. Okay, his senior year at Duke, and basically, if you look at it, if you've watched Notre Dame, their quarterback is basically Daniel Jones. Okay, good runner, mediocre passer. Okay, and so it's the same thing. So like what Matt's saying, I mean, when the Giants drafted him as a number one draft choice, it's like you can't be serious. This guy cannot throw the ball. Okay, and it's been proven.
And then who was that quarterback coach? Was who? Dave Cundiff, the Duke guy. He was like a kind of quarterback whisperer. People like him.
Yeah.
But these and you hate just ripping on Jones, because we could just rip on a bunch of these quarterbacks taken in the first round. If you got nothing around you, like he had no offensive line first, right? Barkley was hurt. He was driving. Remember, I mean, Barkley was done. He was averaging 2.7 yards a rush or something ridiculous. Like, this is terrible. Like, let's not. He was not just the problem, Daniel Jones. I'm not even a Giant fan, but I kind of want to help out like the small children. Like I love my kids. I love kids. I feel like the quarterback's a kid behind everything else, right? He's the guy getting all the brunt of everything from a bad coach, a bad offensive line, no wide receiver, a hurt running back. The quarterbacks always take the blame, which, fair or not, I mean, they're the highest guy paid on the field, but like I don't want to blame him for that. Totally. You can't, like, we can, but is it really fair when he's behind a bad offensive line? The running back's bad. Like, you look at some of these, the salary for the quarterbacks are what they are, right? That's the going rate. That's it. I don't care how good or bad he is. They're getting paid. No?
Yeah. No, I think the NFL needs to go back to what they used to do, which is sit guys. Okay. Now, I know with the way the contracts are structured, but somebody has to have the courage to, if you're drafting somebody in the, let's say late first round or something, that, this guy gets some upfront money, but his second and his first and second year, his actual take home salary is low, because let the guy sit on the bench. You just look at all the guys now. I mean, you see a Sam Darnold coming into his own. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's good, but he's way better than he was before. And then some guys, they move to different teams. A Baker Mayfield, you're talking about Tampa Bay. I mean, I think the position has gotten even harder as time has gone on. And so with that, you guys need to learn how to get to this level of play. And so if they sit for a year or two, by year 3, if you give him a 5-year deal, that gives you 2 full seasons to see if he's still your guy. Okay. And if it doesn't work out after the 4th year, you move on.
Not that like Scott Mitchell, like he was like a backup when Miami came in, turned into a little starting quarterback with the Lions. He was serviceable, like the old quarterback manager kind of guy, like John Kidna, a backup, but we got a chance to start after a couple of years. He kind of put up numbers across the board. Like some of these guys, like you said, let them sit. There's nothing wrong. If you're a fan base, I don't care what sport it is. It could be baseball. If we're going to be bad, we're bad. Don't pay somebody. We'll rebuild and bring youth in. We can understand that. Like a team would say, I think the fan base would be at least more understanding as opposed to coming in and thinking the guy's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. I'm in a Bears chat room yesterday. Like the sky's falling. Like you got a rookie quarterback, a banged up offensive line, and a crap head coach. How are you excited? They get just blinded by a top draft pick. How CJ Stroud's kind of struggling a little bit with Houston this year. I mean, they're not as good as they were last year. It takes time these guys to learn a little bit.
It totally does. Like what you said about go back to the Giants about, yes, it's partially Jones' fault for sure. He had nothing around him half the time. And, when Brian Daboll came in, I thought he could be, I don't want to say the savior, but I thought he could do a real good job with Jones, and he just doesn't. And it's not really his fault either. There isn't much around him. The offensive line has been horrible for the last couple of years. And that needs to be fixed, priority 1. And, yeah, like some of these quarterbacks, like this year with Daniels, he's looked great, starting right away. CJ Stroud looked great last year starting right away. But some of these guys, it takes time. It takes time. Let them sit. When they can learn.
He had flashes that year under Dabo, and you look at like, wow, Josh Allen kind of took a step back. And I said it multiple times, like, you saw the step back from Allen. He turned into like a one-man show. He's fumbling, forcing stuff. And Jones was running a little more. It was kind of things were working out pretty good. Like you saw flashes like, hey, this team's going to be good. We get our offensive line shaped up. We got Barkley. Maybe you can catch a break with a wide receiver. Giants always have a decent defense. And then it just falls apart. It's crazy.
The year they went to the playoffs. I mean, especially in the second half of the year. I mean, I'm sure you guys do the same thing. I mean, I was playing them every week, the Giants, especially as underdogs. But the difference is the offensive line was definitely better. It wasn't a great group, but they kind of came together. They had Barkley, and they had, let's just say, serviceable wide receivers and a good tight end. So they had components of a decent offense there, and then the defense forced a lot of turnovers. So that made it all work. But the year after, defense wasn't as good. Barkley got hurt. Next guy, I think another receiver, one guy left, I believe, signed with somebody else. They didn't have anybody to replace him with, and so it just went right back into the crapper like where it came from.
So you get 10 minutes of Giant talk here because I always defend quarterbacks on bad teams. I do. It's like a little kid. Like I got to help them off my kids are little. They're trying to climb the jungle gym. I'm like helping them out. I feel bad for the quarterbacks on bad teams with new head coaches, flaws all over the place. I'll always try to help them out. I don't care what team you're on. I'll always give you the benefit of that because it's not just you.
Right. Anyway. I totally agree with that. I just looked at a couple of mock drafts here quickly while we were talking. CBS Sports and ESPN, whatever that I forget his name, whatever it is. But both of them have Shedeur Sanders going to the Giants. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all, as long as they don't hire Deion as his coach.
Well, I just saw that, speaking of Colorado, who killed me my under 5.5 win total plus 145. All right, hats off to you. Great job. They've won. I saw they just flipped a USC quarterback recruit. He signed with them. He's like a top quarterback guy.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
So I don't know if he's going to leave. Like, I thought after Hunter and his son leaves, he'd be like, whatever, I'm leaving too. I'd go or one more year and go to the NFL, whatever. But I don't know. I think for him, he can get the recruits. He just needs not better assistants, but assistants to help him. Like, he's going to get the people there. He needs guys to help. He needs other generals with him. He can be the head, but he needs other guys. Sometimes you got to have, good leadership around you. You're only as strong as your weakest link. He gets good coaches. That team could be a juggernaut. No doubt about it, because everybody wants to play for him.
No, I think they did a better job this year. I mean, the defense is much improved,
Yes.
and then even though it was viewed as a weakness going into the season, I mean, the offensive line has gotten better.
Improved.
There's a bit of a running game, and pass protection is better. It's not great, but it's better. So that's made all the difference. So that's why they're 8-2.
And so you look at the lines, you're like, how the heck? And this is why I'm like, give me the under. You bring in 30-something new recruits, starters, like that's good. That's all still new, and at least for me, like the handicapping side of it, when you're bringing in 30, 40 new guys on a 70, 100-man roster. Like, I don't see how that's a recipe for success. I mean, I don't know. That still remains to be seen if he could maintain that kind of changeover every year and win games. I don't think – because other schools don't do that. You might bring in a handful of guys and 1 or 2 top guys, but you can't bring in 3 or 4 new offensive linemen every year. I don't think that could work.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out. I mean, like this year, we're talking about working out what Indiana did. I mean, Tuberville can say that he thinks that they bought a team. I can tell you, Indiana University is not paying a lot of money.
The James Madison team. This whole James Madison began with them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so it wasn't.
That goes right into the continuity, though. They're all familiar with the system.
Right.
They've all played in this before. We know what you're doing. Now you're just working in now you're just working in not the oddball pieces, but the pieces that stayed into a 60% unit already.
Right.
Yeah, if you're bringing in 20 guys from 19 different teams, it's going to take a while to come together. But yeah, with this James Madison thing, I think he brought in, I want to say 11 of his own guys.
Yeah.
Like that's unheard of for any coach to do that. And for that to happen, you were going to gel right away, and it happened. And look where they are right now. It's awesome. It's an awesome story.
Favorable schedule, and the guy's a pretty decent coach. You get some breaks. This is how you have a good season.
Mm-hmm.
You get some breaks. You get a good schedule. Teams come out of nowhere. Good for them. And one last thing. I know people are like, man, we're still rambling on here. The Indiana talk that they have to be close against Ohio State, because we talked about this on another video, because we had Brian Bill, I think, did Ohio State and Indiana. That they had to have it better be a close loss so they're out of the tournament or out of the playoffs. Can you imagine them saying that about Alabama or Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan? Like, oh, if they lose badly, they're out of it. Hell no. They'd be 11-1. They'd be in the playoffs regardless. These guys get a flyer or asterisk attached to them because it's Indiana and not Michigan or Penn State or Georgia or Tennessee or A&M or one of these other big clubs. Well, get out of here. This is the SEC getting Illinois because they thought it'd be Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, maybe A&M, Texas. Like they thought they were going to get 6 teams in, and the Big 12 would get, or the Big 10 would get 5, or Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Oregon. Right? They'd get their 4, although Michigan's terrible. They thought they're going to have 10 of the 12 teams in there. But
they're going to change the rules maybe as soon as next year if Boise State gets the 4 seed.
Yeah, listen.
That's not going to fly with those guys. I can tell you that.
Again, then their argument is we're going to have more teams now because just because we lose to each other, we were losing to good teams. Come on,
you're still losing
to good teams.
To your point, LSU was still, if LSU wouldn't have lost, or I should say, if LSU would have won out with 3 losses, they were still right there to get in. I mean, that was the conjecture. So, but anyway, enough.
Yeah, I saw something like that recently too about Indiana. If they lose big, they're out. I think that's ridiculous to even come to that conclusion. Where there's the same people saying, "Oh, a 3-loss Alabama would be in though." That makes absolutely no sense. I don't care who they're playing. It's not Indiana's fault what their schedule is, and the fact they're beating everyone by 20 points. Good for them. They're getting the job done, what they're supposed to do.
And to your point, Matt, they're still Indiana. I mean, they said their easy schedule. Since when does anybody complain about Indiana playing an easy schedule?
Right, right.
Pick the year.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, not the Big Ten's a joke. Okay. All right, folks. That's what we're going to argue on today. Yeah. That's another show. That'll be next week's show. Instead of doing we'll do a show. That'll be on my Monday Night Live. We'll talk about the playoff picture. All right, let's get back to the NFL here. We'll give the picks because this is a little longer show than usual. Doug Upstone likes the under 40. Actually, before I get to that, I'm not telling you. It's scrolling, but don't let them see it because then they'd have to. You got to go to gamblersworld.net for our premium stuff. These are the free picks. Go support Doug, Matt, myself, any other cappers. 3 738 packages are guaranteed. We also have the $69.99 one-day special. You get all sports included. So when we have NBA, college, and football, 3 different packages up, you don't have to pay times 3, times 1. We're trying to help you out here. The holidays are coming. Do you want a giant turducken that weighs 30 pounds or one giant turkey that's going to cost you X amount of dollars? Or do you want the little Cornish hen? No, you don't want the Cornish hen. You want the big bird. Get the day pass and get all the picks in it. Is that a good analogy? Is that better than the
That's a little better, yeah.
You bailed yourself out. Nice job.
All right, gamblersworld.net for all of our premium stuff. Now, free picks, here you go. All you got to do is hit the like button, and half you don't even do that. But we'll get to that in another show. Matt Fargo, he likes Vegas Raiders +6. Doug Upstone is going under 47.5. Niners and the Packers. And yours truly, Mr. Giant Head, I am taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team total over 23.5. Good luck, everybody. Thanks for sticking around today. Gentlemen, I'll see you next week. Take care.